amigas. I'm Holly Beck, and it's time for Second Breakfast, a podcast by Surf with Amigas. We are big fans of Second Breakfast. It's that time during our retreats when we sit around the table, usually after surf, and have engaging discussions about life, current events, and of course, all things surfing. We aim to inspire, empower, and educate while connecting to a community of women surfers through storytelling. Hey, amigas, big news. We've got a new platform at Surf with Amigas that we want to share with you. At SWA Online, you can be a part of the unique Surf with Amigas experience anytime, anywhere. Can't join us on a retreat this year, but want to stay connected? Or maybe you want to keep the good vibes flowing while continuing to improve your surfing and fitness in between retreats. Our new online platform was created just for you. Sure, I know there are a lot of free tips on TikTok and YouTube. But honestly, as a professional surf coach, some of the advice I've seen on those platforms is truly cringeworthy. If you're a listener of Second Breakfast, then you already know and trust Surf with Amigas. At SWA Online, you'll find hundreds of helpful surf tutorials, training videos, wellness tips, and inspiring stories that all embody the funny, supportive, and knowledgeable spirit at the core of Surf with Amigas. Becoming a member of our new online community is super easy. Consider this your official invite. To get started, head on over to surfwithamigas.com, click on SWA Online to sign up for your free trial. I'll see you there. In the beginning of Surf with Amigas, it was just really about like only female coaches, only female guests, only female coaches, and like that's our thing, and like that's our brand, and like that's what we do. And that felt like the right thing to do for a long time. And then of course, like as you do something, then you start to notice like how can we do it better? But kind of the goal though is to like have a standard way of teaching and like a standard curriculum. And that way, any retreat that you go on, no matter who the team is, well, they might use their own language or have their own like examples or anecdotes, that everybody's teaching the same thing. Our plan is to start out by asking, where are you in the world and did you surf today?
I am in Oakhurst, California. It's outside of Yosemite National Park. My sister lives here. I'm working in her camper right now. Woo-hoo! So no, I didn't surf today.
What does she do with the camper when you're not there visiting?
Well, it's just parked in her yard and with her pigs and goats and chickens outside. So she lives on a little hobby farm, and they use it to go on trips. So it's just parked in the yard. But this is the only place that I can get away from my children.
Epic.
So my computer is not plugged in, but at least I don't have screaming babies in the background. But it's a nice little office space. So no, I didn't surf. I'm in the mountains. Every year we like to do a little mountain time. I feel like it's my way of like recharging my froth, and I love this time of year. Get in the mountains, the rivers, hiking, rafting, mountain stuff. So surf is not on my radar. It's been actually a while since I've surfed. I scored Hurricane Erin a few months ago, and that kept my cup full for a while. But the exercise I'm going to do today is stacking firewood after I wrap this up. How about you?
So wait, for those that don't know, Hurricane Erin, you were in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
What's the surf scene like there? I recently saw an article about how like Nova Scotians, I don't know if that's what they call themselves, are like eggy with all the people like you showing up and taking their waves. No, did you feel that in the water? Because I think of Canadians as like the friendliest, nicest people, but maybe that changes when there's like a one year as well.
I got to be careful what I say about Nova Scotia surf. Some people have been blowing it up lately, and the Nova Scotians are not happy about it. But here's the thing about Nova Scotia. Here's like the real deal, that it is so fickle. It is so fickle. And Hurricane Erin was one of those anomalies where sometimes the hurricanes, they come with like a ton of wind and weather, and it's just gnarly. And there was one day like that, but then there was another day where the wind was hitting just right. There was just enough swell energy, and it was warm. So it's kind of like, if you're not afraid of cold water, you can get a lot of waves all winter long in Nova Scotia. But these like beautiful hurricane conditions that line up with warm water are super rare. So Yeah, I mean, Nova Scotia it's not a good place for surfers that like to surf a lot. But if you're a surfer that likes to surf every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, where you would just like drop everything and then like dedicate every minute of that one day where there's gonna be waves that month, then it's a good place for you. But yeah, it's definitely there are more surfers there than ever before. Um and But honestly, everybody was super cool. Like everyone's super cool in the lineup. Everyone's always been nice to me, and like nicer than so many other places because they're Canadians that are like, "Oh, you want this one?"
Yeah. Do you think you could ever like live in a place that was like that, where you got like you didn't get to surf that often, but you knew that like when the swell and everything lined up, that you were just gonna like binge all that entire day, and everybody was gonna be people you knew for the most part, and it was gonna be friendly. Like,
I
would
don't
you
know.
rather?
Maybe like every time we go, and especially when we have trips that where the weather's really good, I'm like, this place is paradise. Like I love it here. But really, the weather is good for only like a couple months a year, and the winters are gnarly. And like I've never lived in a place with really gnarly winters, so I have moments of being like, I could totally live here. Like, I love Canada. I love Nova Scotia. But people are like, dude, like the winter is nar. Maybe like being a mom, having that sort of surf situation would be easier, where it's not just like when it's firing all the time, it's kind of stressful, as you know. But if it's like going to be good for 2 days a year, or sorry, 2 days a month, then you can kind of just like plan for those to be your surf days and drop everything else. Like maybe that would be a little bit easier than like the constant like background stress of like I need to be surfing. But I don't know. I don't know if I could live there. I wonder. I mean, I do love it there, but it would be hard. I feel like I have had many trips. I've been there maybe like 11 or 12 times now, and we always go during like hurricane season, and I can count on one hand the amount of good surf days. So it's very often I'm there in like a good time of year for surfing, staring at these beautiful setups, like amazing point breaks that are just flat. So in a way, it's kind of like painful to be like looking at a flat ocean when you're like, oh, imagine what this would look like when it's like actually firing. But yeah.
That makes sense.
Did you
I
surf?
I I didn't surf today. No, I don't really surf anymore. I'm in a phase of not surfing that much, although I surf the crappiest, mushiest waves now, like on the regular. It's funny because like you and I are in such different phases of motherhood. And the like I hear you when you're saying that like the waves are fine and you can't go because you got like a baby or like a toddler or whatever. But like the phase of motherhood that I'm at is that my kids now are getting into surfing. Even Luna, she just turned 11, and she went through a phase where she said she hated surfing, and now all of a sudden she's finally gotten to the point where she has friends that surf, and she's realizing that if she's gonna hang out with these friends and they're gonna hang out in the surf, then she wants to be as good as she can be about it at it. She actually said to me, she's like, it's not fun if you're not good. And I was like, what? Like, okay, number one, you are my daughter. I get that. But also, like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, if it's such a struggle to paddle out, and if you take off on every wave and fall, it's just like not as fun. So I want to be good at it. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that you're there. You're finally there. And Soleo is just like frothing. He just turned 9 and he just wants to surf all the time. But because they're 9 and 11, they want to surf like mellow, like easy waves. And so the easy wave near us is just like so not exciting for me, like at all. So yeah, I'm in a phase where yes, I'm surfing. Like I've surfed several times last week, but every single session was at the same spot that is not very good. But their kid's dad just got back into town and they're now with him for a week, even though they're right down the street and I'll see them. So I have plans to go surfing over the next few days where I'm actually going to prioritize like the good spot at the good tide and just like hope that the conditions line up to get some fun waves.
Yeah. I hope you score. I gotta think that, I mean, I could be wrong, but I gotta think that this stage that you're in is a necessary stepping stone to then having him out there at Dawn Patrol at the Boom with you, right? It's like,
I hope so. Yeah, we'll see. We're going to the boom in like 10 days actually, and we're all very excited about it. And that's part of me like going, I need to surf because I haven't surfed and I'm going to get absolutely chucked at the boom after not really surfing much of the last few months. But yeah, the kids are coming with me because they have 2 weeks off school, and there's been a lot of talk about whether or not Saleo is going to be able to paddle out at the boom. He's like, well, maybe if it's really small and maybe down the beach. And I'm like, we'll see. I think we're going to be at a Pocentillo a lot.
I mean, do you think you could handle it?
No.
Like if it was small?
He's like very skilled. He's like got an amazing pop up. Like his Cobra lean into the fast pop up is like so solid, but he does not like big waves. He does not like getting pounded. Like I have a friend who has like a son that's like even a couple years younger than him that has no fear and like gets completely pounded and comes up laughing. And that is not Saleo. Like he actually was reading a Surfer's Journal article on the potty and like read a story of a big wave surfer that got like super injured and he has nightmares about it. Like he wakes up at night and he's like, Mom, if I tell you I want to be a big wave surfer, like don't let me. I'm like, dude. So yeah, he doesn't like, he likes feeling safe, even though he has the skill, he likes feeling safe. And I'm like, I get it. I don't really love big waves either. So it's all good. You don't have to be a big wave surfer.
Yeah. What do you think about like if it was a small day at the boom?
Maybe.
Because obviously it's still kind of gnarly. It's just a little poundy.
Yeah.
But if it's small, it's not actually big waves.
Right. I think it's going to be really good for him. That's the goal, but we'll see.
I just think about the kids that grew up at the boom, man. They're just like, they just know how to get so barreled. Like, gotta think even just the exposure to that wave at their ages is going to be so good for their surfing.
So other than adventures this summer, we have been up to a lot. We're in our like kind of our off season, although we just did the first retreat of the new season in Morocco last week, but we've kind of had some time off from retreats.
It's true. Pretty
It's
much.
been nice in some ways.
I mean, really just a month, right? Like we went through the end of August. We used to end our Pavona season end of July, but then we've been kind of pushing it every year. Waves are still good through August, so we're like, let's keep running through August. So yeah, it used to be that we had it like an actual off season, but now we don't really. We have the month of September. I mean, pretty much 3 weeks of September, and then we start Morocco, and then end of October we start in Nicaragua. So yeah, a little bit of time away from retreats, not too much. But then we've been busy. We do a lot of stuff on the off season. This year in particular, we're doing a lot of up leveling our trainings, adding kind of like legitimizing our back end trainings. We used to do everything through Google Drive, which like started to get kind of confusing and crunchy when it came to trying to find things. So now we have like a new platform that we're using, and Holly's been really busy creating all that stuff, typing away on her computer. But it's exciting. It's exciting to see how far we've come all these years.
Yeah, I'm excited because we have so many awesome instructors on the team and people who have like worked at other surf schools or surf camps or just like teaching private lessons. And everybody has so much to bring as far as like their own perspective on teaching the different skills. But kind of the goal though is to like have a standard way of teaching and like a standard curriculum. And that way, any retreat that you go on, no matter who the team is, well, they might use their own language or have their own like examples or anecdotes, that everybody's teaching the same thing. Because one thing I have noticed in like scrolling Instagram and like TikTok is there is a lot of bad surf advice out there. And I know we've talked about it on even like our last podcast, I think, together. And so it's like, even though like so many, there are great surf instructors that have been doing it a long time that just have like weird advice. And so this is kind of a way to like make sure that like everybody's on the same page, teaching the same thing. You're going to get consistent information, and also just making sure our team is as good as they possibly can be at surf coaching, because even if they've been surf coaching for like 5 years or 7 years or whatever, they haven't been doing it as long as we have. So it's been nice to like come up with and have discussions about like, what's the best way to say this? Like, what is the best paddling technique? And even have like little, not arguments, but heated discussions, and then come up with a consensus and then say, okay, team, like this is what we believe works best. This is what we want you to teach. So compiling all that into one place has been a big project, but it's also been really fun. I'm looking forward to rolling it out to our whole team, which we're going to be doing soon.
A lot of these changes that we're starting to implement now, the impetus to making these changes kind of came from our feedback forms. So thanks to all of our amigas who have taken the time to give us your feedback. I'll say it now that we're open to feedback always. The feedback is always welcome. But yeah, we did get some feedback over the years that maybe some amigas got conflicting advice from different coaches. So creating this kind of umbrella curriculum that everybody's going to understand as amigas curriculum is it's as a result of that. Some other feedback that we've had recently that we kind of wanted to talk about here is that we have more male coaches at Surf with Amigas than we ever have before. The male coaches that we're hiring are local experts. So now at all of our locations, we're going to have the retreat hosts and the local experts. And that's new and different for many of you that have been with us for a long time now.
Let's talk about like why and how.
Yeah. Why?
Well, I would say that, in the beginning of Surf with Amigas, it was just really about like only female coaches, only female guests, only female coaches. And like, that's our thing. And like, that's our brand. And like, that's what we do. And that felt like the right thing to do for a long time. And then of course, like as you do something, then you start to notice like, how can we do it better? And one of the things that we used to do was only have 4 instructors for a group of 12 amigas, which is like that seemed like the right thing.
Our original ratios were you and me for 10 amigas. Right. So the original ratios were 5-1. And
which
then
is hard to imagine.
It is, totally. And then it morphed slowly over the years. And then for many years, our desired ratio, something we'd always like say was 3-1. And then
what happened?
Last year in particular, we had a lot of swell. Like the waves were just like firing all year long. And I think that we also have gotten used to in many of our locations, like splitting up into like 3 groups rather than 2 groups. And then if you have 3 groups, you kind of need more instructors. So long story short, our current ratio that we're working with is 2-1, which is awesome. And within that 2-1 ratio, we have, we need more instructors. And we also are stoked on the idea of hiring more locals. Like we have always been really into supporting and empowering local communities where we run retreats like all over the world. It's always been one of our pillars. But I think in the last like couple years in particular, there's been more conversation about like politics in the water. And is it okay to bring a surf instructor in from elsewhere to be teaching surf lessons in a place that's not their home? With the reason being that they are a woman. And this is a women's surf retreat where our whole thing is women learning from other women. And I think that that's why we haven't hired as many local surf instructors in the past, because there just aren't that many female surf instructors in these remote places where we run our retreats. Yeah,
right.
and
that's the reason. Like we would have hired local women from the beginning if that was an option. And we sort of, because that wasn't an option, then we're like, well, we're not going to do it. And over time, we've felt like, well, at this point, it's really valuable to have a bigger team and have some of those people be from the area for like a variety of reasons. Like I think it's also cool to get to know the culture through the experience with a local person. Like if you go to Costa Rica or if you go to Morocco and you like, granted, we have local chefs and local drivers and local activities and all of this. So you are getting a chance, but there's a different relationship that happens when you're like hanging out in the surf with them and learning from them. But we didn't want to just completely replace the female staff with just now we're going to hire a bunch of local men, women where we can find them, of course, but like predominantly men. So we're trying to kind of like do a little bit of both, would you say?
Yeah. And then, internally that kind of led to like a bunch of different conversations of like, these people are doing less work than me, these people are doing more work than me. Are we the same? Are the local experts going to be the same as the retreat hosts in terms of like the jobs that they're doing? And as we've evolved, we've sort of decided to differentiate the role, because they really are two different jobs and bring two different skill sets to the table. What the local experts can bring to the table is super unique to each place, and that's something that girls that are coming and working as surf instructors from elsewhere are never going to be able to do. And then
And like what? You want to say like how do you see those things?
knowing a place inside and out, having that relationship to the community that's like generations old, the local language. A lot of people speak Spanish, but maybe not as legit as people who are actually from there. I think more than anything, it's just like that community relationship, which in places with crowded lineups is a big deal. Or is it? It is,
Yeah. I think it's always when, the politics of surf camps are such that if you're bringing in a bunch of clients from elsewhere and they're led by surf instructors from elsewhere, it's not going to be as well received in the community as if you are having those people be led or accompanied or helped out by people who are also from that community. So it's like,
And at the end of the day, the people who are from that community, they're going to know the waves better than anybody else. They've been surfing these waves since they were, in most cases, since they were groms. And no matter how good of a surfer you are, if you come to a place, like, you're not going to know that wave until you spend that time getting to know it. Right.
right.
That being said, the retreat hosts, which often do come from out of the area to come be the hosts at the retreat, that are also the surf instructors, they're also providing something that maybe would be hard to find in the local community. They're willing to stay on site. We need our hosts to stay on site with the amigas, having all the meals and on site in case of emergencies or whatever questions come up at random odd hours. That's the job of the retreat host, is to be at the retreat venue from start to finish, from Saturday to Saturday. And it's a pretty all encompassing reality. So for somebody who has other responsibilities, a lot of our local experts have families, they're married, they have kids, they have responsibilities at home. Like, doing the whole like staying on site thing is just not feasible. So I think having that differentiation for us is going to be a good thing. And also this understanding that like both sides of the spectrum are important and unique, and everybody's bringing something to the table.
Right. Because I think another thing that we do at Surf with Amigas, and that goes with the whole idea of a retreat, is that there's also an element of holding space. Surfing is hard and it brings up all kinds of emotions. And while some people are coming on the retreat just to have a surf trip for fun or because they want to improve their surfing, we also get people who are, have like a milestone birthday, or they just got divorced, or their kids just fled the nest, and or they got laid off, or they're contemplating a different life path. And so there's a lot that happens on the retreat that has nothing to do with surfing. And it's around, sharing stories and holding space. And not to say that the local experts are not able to do that, but there's something that makes it a little bit easier when there's like more cultural similarities. So I think that having both, it's like you're getting to integrate into the local culture a little bit by having these conversations and hearing the stories and surfing and hanging out with the local experts, but that there's also somebody that speaks English fluently, or natively, that maybe is a little bit more similar in their background, that can also bring something to the table as far as like understanding, yeah, I didn't learn to surf as a baby either. A lot of our surf instructors have been surfing since they were young, but not all of them. And yeah, I think there's just like the Western culture has a different way of sharing emotions. I think it's good to have both. It's good to have people that are from a similar culture as the Amigas, because there's some like benefit to that, as well as having people from the local cultures where the Amigas are getting a chance to like learn about the local culture.
If you're wondering why we have male instructors on our team now, it's going back to wanting to hire as many local people as we can in each of our places. And now that's kind of like entering the space and the water as well, which I think is, it's exciting and it's a good thing. It's a positive thing, but we're always evolving. So keep the feedback coming.
Yes. We're starting to do some brand partnerships.
True.
Which is kind of interesting. The idea is not that we're like going corporate and we're like selling out to advertisers. Like that's not it. No, don't get us wrong. If there's like a brand out there that wants to give us a bunch of money to like put their stickers on things, like we're open. Let's talk about it. We have to believe in the product. But
Like
for the
Toyota,
most,
Alaska
yeah,
Airlines.
good ideas. If you work for an airline in the marketing department or Toyota, hit us up. We're down to have the conversation. But more right now, we're talking to brands that we like totally believe in that are either like owned by women. That's the goal. Are sustainable, have awesome products that we actually use, and it can be an addition to the experience at the retreat. So recently, we got a bunch of amazing Yeti cups and coolers that have been super sweet. The up level our the experience at the retreats in southern Costa Rica, and we're trying to little by little get some of that product up to Nicaragua as well. And I'm about to get a big shipment from Sunbum. We're gonna have some gifts for amigas and samples to try out of their mineral sunscreen. It's supposed to be showing up in Costa Rica any day now, so that'll be fun if you come on a Southern Costa Rica retreat to try out some of the new Sunbum sunscreen.
We're doing some yoga towels, some slow tide custom cute yoga towels. So those are in the works. That'll be fun. Something that you can use while you're on the retreat. And if you wanted to purchase one, that's also an option. Yeah, I find that a lot of times people come on these retreats and they, especially people who maybe don't live in a surf area, it's like they're totally new to surfing. It's like, there's certain bathing suits that work and then there's certain bathing suits that don't. Like there's certain types of towels that are like the right ones to use and there's certain other ones that suck. And same thing with sunscreen and even hair product. Like there's this Zilly, which is a small business owned by a woman in San Diego. They make this amazing detangler, which, surfing hair is a situation sometimes. And if you have a good product, you just want to share the good word. So yeah, these brand partnerships are exciting for us to kind of like steer our amigas in the direction of like, hey, we've found that these products are legit. They are doing good things in the world. It's not about like pushing the message of consumerism at all, but it's just a matter of like helping people to find products that work for them, that we believe in the things that they're doing. So yeah, we have the slow tide towels, the Yeti cups, coolers, everything. Sunbum partnership is in the works. Zilly hair stuff. We've always been big lovers of Sia, Salt Gypsy. DeCoco is another awesome swimwear brand that they're based in Costa Rica. If you've been on one of the Costa Rican retreats, you've probably bought a pair of shorts from DeCoco. Carve, which you had Jen.
Yeah, Jen, one of the founders of Carve, was on the podcast recently, and she just got back from her first retreat with us in Morocco. So she toured.
Yeah, she had a blast.
Yeah. They make
wetsuits. We love Momolo wetsuits.
Kyola hats.
Kyola, the best surf hat. You can't find a better surf hat than Kyola.
Yeah, so all of the recommendations are in the packing list, and also on the website we have like a brands we love page, which is just, it's cool to, I think, to share the love, to take these brands that we really believe in and recommend them to amigas, and also amigas that are looking for brands that are functional and legit or female owned or sustainable or whatever the thing is that actually work and that we believe in. You can find the good products. What else? You guys, we're thinking about redoing the website, which is a gnarly undertaking that we've talked about for a minute, and we're getting closer to doing it. We're closer, little baby steps closer.
Yeah, I wanted to like send out a formal message to everybody who, we put something out on Instagram looking for some tech help. What we needed at that moment was essentially like a tech task rabbit that could help us with various techie things that are out of our scope or pay scale. And then that kind of like started getting the ball rolling and thinking about a lot of you responded. Thank you for responding. We have all of your info accumulated, and the plan is to pick the dream team of all of this, plus whoever else is out there, anybody else interested in helping us out with this new website undertaking, to start the project in the new year of redoing our website. It's a big deal. We did a big rebrand with a friend of ours, Sylvia Yom, hashtag shout out, maybe 7 years ago. When was that?
I want to say 5, but I think realistically it was more like 7. It was before COVID.
Yeah, that was when we, redid our website for the first time, and like I still like it, but apparently maybe it's time to do it again. So
We got to get with the times because all the like new plugins and stuff don't work with our old template, and we had an intern last summer. Shout out to the intern, and she was like, the user experience and like digital natives and all these buzzwords that like we used to be young and cool, and now we're getting old, and apparently like the youth want higher tech websites, and we got to stick with the times and evolve. I don't know, but that definitely like our website, it's been a minute. So it's time to rebrand it. So it's got us, well, we're not even at the phase of like answering all the questions of like how we wanted to see the brand grow. We're not even there yet, but we're just like in the early phases of considering doing that. So yeah, if you're an expert in this field, we're open to talking.
yeah, we're gonna start thinking about it in the new year. I feel like yeah, let's see. It's true that all these buzzwords of I think our challenge is going to be, and we dealt with this last time we redid our website too. It's that like the Surf with Amigas experience is at the end of the day rootsy. Like we're not some like high tech brand, like you're gonna come to the retreat and have a very authentic, real experience of a surf trip in Central America. And I think that there are surf camps out there that are like super techy. Like I've heard of these like, surf coaches on the beach giving surf coaching into the earpiece of the surfer out in the water. And like, that's just not us right now. So we'd like to up-level our tech offerings and change our website to kind of like be more, like you said, catering to the digital natives, which is a new term for me, and yeah, just upgrade it a little bit, but then we still want it to be like authentic to what we're offering, rather than like, I would hate for somebody to like see some super techie website and then come to the retreat thinking that it's going to be like this super techie situation when
But
it's just
I wonder, I don't know. Again, I've been living in Central America for a minute, so maybe I'm out of it. But like, I don't know that like a super techie website makes you think that there's going to be like tech on the ground. I just wonder if like when you look at a website that looks like professional, and then you're going to think that the experience is going to be to like a certain like standard, and like what counted as like a cool, like sexy or professional website like 7 years ago is not the same as it is now. And so maybe if our website looks like janky to like the digital native, then they're going to think, oh, like that experience is not for me because it's not, I don't know what the right like adjectives are, but it's not what I'm looking for. And so I think that is the goal, is to like we were having a little sidebar conversation before we hit record about like other businesses and how they market themselves, and how like we don't want it to look like overly curated because like we don't want it to be fake. And I'm like, yeah, but we are authentic, so we don't have to worry about not looking authentic. Like we just got to show us and our personality, and that is authenticity. So I feel like to me the challenge is to like take like what is that feeling, and like how do we describe it in a way that's going to come through on the website and feel that authentic. Like how do we translate like dirt dusty dirt roads and like dawn patrols and like empowering each other into like a website that looks like legit and cool.
I think like when I see other competitors or like other surf retreats websites and marketing initiatives, whether it's like a mailing blast or their Instagram, I mean, you know, a lot of it is just Instagram. Like my complaint with these other brands that I don't want Surf with Amigas to become is that they're just overly curated. And I think that that's something that like personally in my life I've been annoyed of lately is just like this whole like the Instagram world. It's like I actually like deleted Instagram off my phone for the last couple of weeks because I'm just like, well, first of all, I'm so overstimulated from like just traveling with my kids and my family. It's just like having something else to scroll is just too much. I can't even like listen to music these days. That's like sidebar. But like I miss music. Like the other day we put the kids down, we like put the music on. I was like, oh my God, it's so nice to like actually listen to this music. Where like most of the time I'm like, turn that shit off. Like it's just too much noise.
I relate to that.
Class.
I think for me, like the buzzwords, like the word holistic, like we have our like holistic surf coaching retreats, which is like basically means that we're gonna approach surfing not just about like more weight on your front foot and look down the line and let's figure out your pop-up. We're gonna like use the whole surfer. So let's talk about like your beliefs about your place in the lineup or your any fears that you might have, or maybe you had a surfing trauma where like the board hit you in the head or you almost drowned or whatever it is. And we're gonna it's gonna be a safe place for talking about how surfing isn't always fun and we have things that we're dealing with. We're gonna approach the whole thing. But I've seen so many websites that are like calling it a holistic surf camp because they offer like ice baths and sound baths. And like that to me is like, I feel like that's a little bit irritating because yeah, ice baths and sand baths are great, but it's not what we're doing when we call it holistic. So it makes me like wonder like should we be calling it something else, or how do we differentiate, because they're saying they're doing holistic surf coaching too, but it is not the same as the holistic surf coaching that we're doing. But I don't necessarily want to call ours surf therapy because then people are like, oh, I don't need therapy, because that word still has a little bit of a negative connotation.
Yeah. So anyways, we have a lot of questions about how to do things always. And it's going to be fun and interesting to do.
Yeah, I feel like once we like right now we're like focusing on this like big training thing that we talked about of like yeah getting all our curriculum dialed and like doing a better job at communicating with our team that has grown a ton. And once we like kind of get through that, I feel like we're going to start setting our sights on this. And I feel like once we open it up, it's going to be that'll be the next 6 months project, which is going to be fun, but it's a little bit to think about.
Yeah. What about new locations? Do we have any new locations in the works?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. One of our surf instructors that some of you probably know, Lila, is really pushing Angola. She's like really pushing Angola. Like I haven't even just had the space to like really look at those details, but she just sent another email today. I don't know if you saw it. Like, hey guys, Angola is hot right now. What do y'all think about Angola? Message us. Let us know. Would you go to Angola? Are you interested in Angola?
Yeah.
You
Another location that I'm kind of excited about, which it's all in the works still. One of our surf instructors, Lucia, she's worked at the Northern Costa Rica location. She and her brothers own a surf camp in northern Spain, in Galicia. And every photo that I see of that area just looks, the waves look so fun and so beautiful. And Spain is awesome. I don't know if Spain is like as hot and trendy as like maybe Portugal is, or like, I don't know, some of the other like more hot surf destinations, but I've always enjoyed every time I've been in Spain. And I feel like it's, you know, surfing is a really cool way to experience the culture of a place. And Spain has such a rich culture and the food is so good. And that's one that I'm hoping we can kind of push forward.
Yeah, I've only been to Spain one time. I went for my sister's wedding because she was living in Spain and married a Spanish guy. And we did not surf, but it was cool. Like I would totally be down to go back to Spain.
Yeah.
Brazil, where we did the Maldives for a couple of years. I think we're going to take a break and not go back to the Maldives this coming year. But the guy who owned the boat that we partnered with is Brazilian, and he is advocating for a Brazil retreat. And actually, I went to Brazil a few times when I was competing, and there was one part of Brazil, which was Bahia, which is like a little further north from like Rio and Sao Paulo and that. And it has a little bit more of like a Afro vibe. Like there's like more reggae, and the people look a little bit different than the people in the South. And it just had like a different feeling. It was like a little bit more like Caribbean feeling, I would say, if like you're gonna compare it like in Costa Rica, where like the Pacific side has one vibe and then the Caribbean side kind of has a different vibe. Like I would sort of, not that I've been to a million places in Brazil, but my feeling was that it sort of had that kind of thing going. And so when he said where, I was like, oh my God, that was actually my favorite place that I went to in Brazil. We have not made much progress there because, again, we've just been focusing on other things, but it is a thought for the future.
Yeah. And then the other one that's been one that we haven't put as much effort into planning is like the idea of adding some domestic or maybe even Baja, Mexico, like weekend retreats, like long weekends.
By domestic, I mean like US.
US, exactly. Like maybe like a San Diego thing, or yeah, maybe just over the border, like somewhere that would be more accessible for a shorter trip, like a long weekend, rather than committing to like the full week long international destination. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could be a really cool offering on our end, but it would also be interesting to hear how much interest there is out there in that sort of thing.
Well, I feel like I was just going to pull it up. Like, we have a Surf with Amigas online community. If anybody's been on a retreat and is not in the WhatsApp group, just send us an email and we can send you a link to the group chat. But I actually posted a question in that group to see if anybody had any questions for us because we were about to do this podcast. And I'm just pulling that up. Somebody was asking about kind of how the current economic and political situation is impacting retreat bookings. And I feel like that sort of plays into our choice of locations because that's, you know, like our kind of standard location is like Nicaragua and Costa Rica and has now, Mexico and like Morocco. These are places we've been going for years. We have good relationships with, locals and also resorts there. And our instructors that have like been working those retreats now have like friends and like connections. And also we spent time like marketing those locations. So they're kind of like solid, but like the kind of one-off things, like the thought of like going to Angola or even to northern Spain or Brazil, like there's a little bit more of like adventure, and it costs us more to like send our instructors there, and it's a bigger commitment to like set it all up and all of that. And so there is something that we think about when we're planning these retreats of, what is the economic situation going to look like, or even the political situation going to look like next year or the year after that. And it's hard to say. I know I feel some anxiety anytime I listen to the news, which, I try to keep up on what's going on in the world daily. It's like so anxiety producing.
I know. We were talking about the other day. We were like, just turned off an episode of The Daily about just another tragic thing that's gone down here in the US. And then my husband was like, wow, really kind of feels like things are about to come to a head here in the US, huh? And I'm like, it feels that way when we listen to the news. But then, like, if you're just like doing the day-to-day thing, traveling around, seeing how people are living, things don't feel too different. I don't know. That's just my experience. But yes, I feel you. There is some anxiety there. And to answer the question of like, how has the current economic and political situation affected us? Our bookings slowed down a little bit. Like they slowed down a bit around the election in particular. Like we actually, around that time, a bit before, but we were planning on going back to the surf ranch because we had so much fun when we went, and we were like stoked about making that one of our regular offerings just so that we could go surf that wave. Definitely wasn't about making any money.
Wave pool for anyone that's not super familiar.
Yeah, that was a real frothy surf trip. But yeah, that place is so expensive, and in order to even cover our costs, we were going to have to charge a lot of money. Like the retreat cost for a 24-hour experience was going to be $6,000. And we just got nervous about whether or not we were going to be able to fill it, and then we would have to send this giant deposit. And so, we got cold feet and then pulled out. And I'm really happy that we did, because it's like it would be so stressful to think about having to be on the hook for that much money. So yeah, things did slow down significantly, like this year versus last year. And then so I think that we sort of like slowed our offerings. We're doing a little bit less retreats than we have in previous years. But then kind of after the election, things sort of picked up again.
Well, I think for me, it seems like people are not booking as far in advance, with the exception of the longboard house retreats. Like the longboard house retreats are so popular, and like people go on their retreat and like sign up and book the same week the following year. And like that is consistently like the furthest out that people book. And we only offer it, well, a decent number of weeks, but it's seasonal. And so I have noticed that, like, I would say 2 years ago, people were signing up for their retreat, like for any retreat, like a year in advance. Like if you waited within 6 months of the time you wanted to travel, there were no options. Everything was full. And what I've noticed, and I can totally understand, like based on like the anxiety that you would get when you listen to the news and you feel like the world is going to end, whether it's like climate change, AI, World War III, like something's going to happen, and you better keep everything close to your chest. That it's a little bit scary to put down a decent amount of money on a retreat that's going to happen a year from now, or even 6 months. And so people seem to be booking closer to the retreat date. Like the retreats are still all filling. Thank you. Knock on wood. Thank you for coming. We're stoked to have you. But like people are maybe not booking as far out in advance.
Yeah.
Which
And
if you're not an extreme advanced planner, that's a good thing for you, because I know for me it's really hard to plan 6 months out in advance.
definitely, me too. But yeah, I was also going to say that it is the more expensive locations weren't as quick to fill. So I think that in that way, the current economic situation is affecting us. And then therefore we are more incentivized to offer like locations that are a little bit more like budget friendly or easier on the wallet.
Which is funny, because I feel like a few years ago we were getting all this feedback, because we've always tried to keep our retreats like as affordable as possible. Like that has been our goal. Like we're choosing accommodations that are a little bit more basic, partly because we've got our feral roots, but of course we want it comfortable. But like selecting for the more affordable accommodations and keeping the retreat price lower, whereas like other retreat that I'm looking at, like they're way more expensive than we are, like 30, 40, 50% more expensive. And so we've tried to keep it lower end. And then we had feedback from amigas that were like, hey, like I would love to pay more for a nicer, like I want the luxury experience. And so based on that feedback, we're like, okay, I mean, it's not really our comfort zone, but like, let's look into that. And now, like I in particular have live in a different place in Costa Rica where it is more high end. There are more high end options. And so we put retreats on the schedule. We called the goddess retreats. Maybe you saw them last year. And I think it was just a little bit like bad timing that like as we answered the feedback and put more expensive retreats on the schedule for like pretty luxurious accommodations, like the economic situation, the political situation changed, and then all of a sudden there wasn't as much demand for like the high dollar option.
Yeah.
So it's gotta always got to stay on the trend.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's up next for you? I mean, I feel like every week I ask you what your plans are, and you express to me that you have no idea, and I'm in a long line of list of people asking. Do you have any updated information? Are we going to see each other in Nicaragua?
I don't know. I mean, I have a very interesting lifestyle. I've been living this life, and I've been reflecting on it a lot lately, but I've been living this life of, I always say I live out of my truck half the year, but like since I was 18 since I started college, like my whole thing, every summer, end of summer, early fall, has been like traveling up and down the California coast, visiting all my people, checking in on all the spots that are like, feel like home to me, the beaches, the mountains, the rivers. And it's always been epic. Like I, got it dialed. I love it. And then I got married and Hugh came along with me on the ride and he was like down to live in the truck and we had so much fun together and we still have so much fun. And then we had one child and it was like, okay, a little crazy toting our son along on these adventures, but it was epic. And then we had another baby and now we are doing the thing. We have a little teardrop trailer.
And a giant dog. Don't leave out Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. We also have our large dog. In our teardrop trailer cruising around, but it's it's complicated. There's a lot more logistics involved. The kicker to the whole situation is that my baby girl, who is almost 10 months, hates the car. So every time we are on one of our long trips, there's a lot of screaming involved, that's part of the overstimulation of like not listening to music anymore. There's just too much noise. So yeah, I think I've gotten a lot of questions lately of like, are you gonna like keep doing this like with kids, like you're gonna keep and I'm like, well, yeah, obviously, like I'm not gonna just not do it. But then it has been lately kind of like, is this like is this it, like am I just gonna be like a nomad with my family half the year or 4 months a year, 5 months a year? Like, is this what I'm doing? Is this what's good for everybody? I don't know. I don't have the answers. Like it's, we've had a really epic couple of months right now. My mom lives in Idaho. So we're in Idaho, went to Humboldt, seeing friends, driving down the coast, met my sisters, seeing all my friends, having so much fun. But then there are like a lot of like struggling moments and there's a lot of screaming and there's like frustration between me and my husband. And Bamboo, my dog, is the best traveler out of all of us. And Henry, who's 4, like he's also like, he's a great traveler now because he's been traveling his whole life. Like he's like my epic little adventure buddy. So there's a part of me that just thinks, okay, this is just a little bit of a struggly time. Like we have like, the transition of the new baby and she's only 10 months. And like, in theory, this has to be like the hardest time, right? With the baby, like she's going to get better at traveling and everything. But who knows? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm like, wake up and start reacting and see what happens. But for now, our plan is to go back to Central America at some point in the next month. We're gonna go over. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go to Zion. I go to Zion every year. I make my pilgrimage to the desert. We're gonna do the thing. But yeah, I will see you in Nicaragua in November. I will see any of you amigas coming to Coco Loco in November. I don't think I'm gonna make the boom retreat. I think we're gonna do Halloween here. For us, it's like we live in the jungle. So like the things that are like novel to my son, like riding his bike on the pavement and going to the park, he's like so stoked on it. So it's fun to be able to kind of like feel his stoke through just like basic American things. And I think that Halloween is going to be a cool extension of that and like a cool way to like hang out with my friend and their kids and everything. So yeah, long story short, I don't know what my plan is other than I'll be here at my sister's for the next week and then I'm going to Zion. And then after that, we'll see.
Yeah, it's so rad because like I've been there. I remember that. Like I never spent quite as long in the US as you do, but I was on that program of spending 2 months in the US and doing a similar camping rotation minus the dog. And now the phase that I'm in is like the kids are in school. And so there's not quite as much time, like respect to anyone that does homeschooling. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like I couldn't do it. I can't do it. And now we're like kind of tied to the school schedule, but we're still find a way to be constantly moving. Like my partner now, John, he has been like, I'm like, would you be okay with living here or there? Like, I feel kind of grounded in living where we live now because the kids are in school, but it is also true that it's like, I've been here for almost a month now. I think a month now, and we're only here for like 10 more days and then we're off to Nicaragua. So the travel gets easier, but you're also a little bit more limited. If you decide to go the traditional school route, it makes it a little bit hard. I'm interested to see what you do. When you get to the phase of mom life that I'm in and your kids are my kids' age, I'm so curious to see what you will do. It'll be fun to watch.
I'm curious too. let's see. Henry's going to start local school next year in February in Punta Banco. I mean, he's 4. It's kinder. It's not real, like not actual school yet. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also curious. I know that I don't ever want to stop traveling, and then you've managed to figure out a way to keep that travel going. That's about all I know.
Right on. Well, best of luck on the rest of your summer, early fall travels, and I look forward to connecting in person in Nicaragua at some point. Some week.
Yeah, we'll hopefully we'll be out there at the Boom at 5 a.m. for some tube time early November.
Thanks so much for listening to Second Breakfast, a podcast by Surf with Amigas. If you like what you heard, think of a surf friend who might like it too and send it their way. Give us a follow, rating, or a review on your favorite podcast platform to make sure you won't miss the next episode and help others find us. We are all about community, so please do keep in touch and let us know your thoughts and what you'd like to hear. Find us on Instagram or sign on to surfwithamigas.com for updates and inspiration to explore retreat dates and locations. While you're there, check out our blog and join our newsletter.